Hello. Right, so this is the replacement stream. Now the computer might turn off again. So if it does, you'll know why. So my apologies. I don't know what's wrong. It's not cooling down at all, making too much noise as well. And it is giving off a lot of heat. Must have got a bit fed up with that ream earlier on. I'll just get that live on and hopefully we can continue and pick up where we left off. Still got an hour to go if the computer will last. So picture no sound. You got the sound now. Thank you very much, Alan. Good stuff. So let me just catch up. So we've got a goal back from, we've already got over 2.5 goals in the Mjøndalen. So let's catch up with these neutrals. They look to be delivering, don't they? And it's come before half time, that as well. So got a bit of catching up to do now. So please forgive me if I do disappear again. It does look like quite a substantial error. This is very hot underneath. Right, so we had neutral and we had our own play. So Watford, I was getting involved in. So let me just, well, I've laid over 1.5 goals already. And I think I've done that, plus, must be +1. So let's have a look at some of these neutrals. Are they looking good? Neutrals on the right-hand side. So that's the Watford match. I'm just going to star these. We were on Mjøndalen, weren't we? So just got to remember which matches I got involved in. So how does this look? I don't know how much we would have lost on the previous one. So if you're just after a small kind of a scalp, then this would be a technique to work, wouldn't it? But what you can do now, and this might be one of the advantages of the neutral, is just to get rid of that liability. So we've got under 3.5 goals. There we go. So it's only marginally above that, so it's not really worth doing, is it? It's only a £4 extra profit. So I think we'll have made a green. I can't remember what the loss was on the lay earlier on of under 2.5 goals. It was quite substantial, but 15 quid or something. But if it's workable, as in making you a small bit of green, then off you go. But if you wanted to go purely straight into over 3.5 goals, that's probably the best angle, isn't it? Because you're out before half time and before that 4th goal even being scored. So excellent stuff. That could be the avenue in, couldn't it? With an early goal's been scored, over 3.5 goals, as Michael said in an earlier comment. So yes, very interesting. Let's just do a catch up because I've got quite a lot to catch up with while the computer's still working. So I just want to make sure you can still see and hear me okay? Derby have equalised. Okay, so I've got a few matches to catch up on now. Let's just penalty missed. Meckelin 2-0 for Bayer Leverkusen. Okay, so let's start from the top. Bari against Padova. Red card, yes. So we would have looked to have laid that draw there. So that would have been a nice gain, wouldn't it? Bari Padova. Got a suspended market. Monza Catanzaro got the goal coming in. Looking to lay that late draw, weren't we? 68th minute that came in. So we'll get rid of that. Get rid of that one. No opinion there. That's coming a little bit too late. Parma still remains 0-1. Excuse me. We're still getting a bit of the blue above the brown, but this is the problem we face when we've got two teams whose goal scoring tends to be under 1 expected goals. They're just not going to conjure up the opportunities, but I still remain hopeful given the recent performances of Parma at home. Bayer Leverkusen, job done for them now. 52nd minute. Got that goal before half-time. Keep an eye out on St. Pauli. If they start knocking on the door, Werder Bremen are known for their both teams to score habit. 2-0 for Augsburg. No strong play, but a side in such poor form might be targetable at 2-0. Very short odds with a half hour to go. But Wolfsburg's expected goals ratio of 0.19, really very, very poor indeed. It's a sign of the apocalypse when Manchester United lead 2-0. Are they gettable? Much improved. A redemption style match today against a Sunderland having trouble scoring. Missed out on all the Arsenal action. Was there anything possible in the first half? Well, it is a London derby, but it's one-way traffic against Nuno Espirito Santo's side. I don't think there's a play, but it is London derby. So we'll keep an eye on the Hammers, see if they can conjure anything up. Dundee United odds on favourite pre-match, but it looks like a deserved lead for Livingston. Keep an eye on that for the second half, but you can see there by far the greater chances have gone, or the better chances have gone to the away side. Derby against Southampton got the goal. That's what you were alluding to. My apologies. So let's see if I can have a look at that market. How did we do it in the first half? Maybe the market's gone now from a neutral angle. Can't remember what I played there. That's the problem. It didn't save. Over 2.5 goals, did we? Perhaps that would have been a 90-minute market. But the Derby equaliser called it right. I wonder how it would have affected the neutral play. So we've got to keep an eye on those. We could get some second half action given both of these sides are generating good chances. And really Southampton and Derby have to stop picking up so many Ds. It's leaking points when you're not losing. KTP against Mariahamna. Again, do you trust the league? Because this is singing out equaliser, isn't it? Do you trust the league? SJK I've liked, Ilves I've liked, and I do trust them. So I'm going to play SJK and Ilves myself, but do be wary. It is the Finnish Veikkausliiga Championship. So they're both decent enough sides, but I like what I've seen from Ilves this season. And if they're performing this well away from home first half, I can be hopeful of an equaliser. The market's suggesting goals. I must have all of my liabilities out, so I have to wait for them to come back in. That would have been a nice play. So let's do that neutrally then. Just have to wait. I've got so many markets up. Just have to, and insurance as well. That's what's costing the money is tied up in insurance at the moment. So KTP and Mariahamna. Seeing as we're fixated on neutral, even though KTP should equalise, let's take a look here, KTP. So a neutral play would obviously start at 2.5 goals, and that is okay because we've already got 1 goal in the bag, haven't we? So let's try that out. Backing over 2.5 goals, 12-minute gap, 12-second gap. So if you were to play, well, as I say, I'm experimenting here, so don't follow me unless you want to. We just want to see if it's viable. Now, can we do insurance on the 0-1? Well, we can lay over 1.5 goals. That premium is going to be quite short. So I'm quite taken by that. That's to win 40 quid. So how much liability will there be there? My other route, my instinctual route, would be to look for a KTP equaliser. So we've got 32 quid if over 2.5 goals comes in. If we can get that 1-1, 50, 60 minutes, that will be gone. And we need to make sure that that profit is greater than £7.60. The only problematic scorelines will be a very, very late 1-1 because that will kill that off and it won't bring that profit in. So we will see whether this has some momentum. See, if you're just looking for the equaliser, then it's a lot easier, isn't it? If you're just looking for the equaliser, because you're not waiting for a goal to be scored in a specific time. If you're looking, just waiting for the equaliser, you've got until the 90th minute. Here, we're looking for a goal to be scored early enough to get the over 2.5 goals moving. SJK and Ilves again. I would be playing this if all my liability wasn't covered up. Watford 2-1, excellent stuff. So I can get some of my liability back now on the Watford match. And if we played this neutrally, which I think we did, as an over 2.5 goal or 3.5 goal play, did we? If we did it as 2.5 goals, it's already come in. So fabulous stuff. But I think I played this as well myself, didn't I? So I'm going over to Watford. Against Oxford, I think I went +1. And that's pretty much boom. Wish I'd gone match odds now. So that's done. Good stuff. That's in the bag. So we can get rid of that now. So the Asani Mjøndalen match, this is the neutral play in action, isn't it? We were expecting Asani to go on and take the lead. That's why we backed over 2.5 goals. But this is a perfect example of neutral working out. So maybe a good angle in to do neutrals in these lower tiers because they're just so untrustworthy, aren't they? Lillestrøm, well, that's what you expect of them. Just waiting to see whether they concede because they're unbeaten so far. SJK and Ilves, did we do? Yeah, we did that over 2.5 goals, didn't we? Derby and Saints, this is a very interesting match already. Expected goals pretty decent for both of these two sides, and they have delivered already. So that draw does look vulnerable second half. Arsenal, I'll take that off the watch list. I hope you're all okay. You can still see me okay. Lucky goal deflected out of Declan Rice. So Ashley, potential then for Arsenal to be laid. Post-Champions League, London Derby, Nuno Espirito Santo. Michael's having a day of taking green, getting out of Watford earlier, but earn me a green on Ream. Exactly, Michael. So you saved the Ream struggle. If you just pick up the green when it's available, you'll be surprised, maybe at the end, what it looks like. It's like going to the shop, isn't it? And get £1.50 for that, 30p for that. By the end of the shop, it adds up to 30 quid. So it could be a good way if you want to get out straight away. Avellino and Mantova, I would have laid that late draw. So let's get to that. Just given all the L's Avellino and Mantova probably missed this one. I just have to be cautious with the computer that I don't move it, because it will switch the screen off again. That match has finished. Parma and Lecce remains 0-1. That's another one of my insurances which are all tied up in this one. And I made the right decision, haven't I, in covering that 0-1 with the expected goals. But I will need to be potentially just looking at tidying that up in case Lecce make it 0-2. So if this is anywhere near 39 quid, oh, there we go. I'm going to sacrifice a £6 to add to that 39, because this is currently going to be break even, isn't it? Parma +1, minus 33 quid. That's just lagging a tad. If this gets under 1.1, all right, there we go. Just in case we get a late Lecce goal. Or indeed, if we get a late goal, I'm going to profit doubly if Parma score it. So for a sacrifice of 6 quid, I'm covered if Lecce score, and I will double up my profit if Parma score. So I can sit back now. I've locked in a guaranteed, what is it? 33 of that £40 is locked in. So the maximum I will lose here is £40. The maximum I will gain will be an additional £40 on top of the 33. 6 minutes to go. 0.86 expected goals, but running out of time. 2 consecutive both teams to score home matches for Parma, but it's that woeful expected goals for throughout the season, which is the reason I've had to take that insurance out. Avellino, the match is ended. Werder Bremen and St. Pauli, no strong opinion there. Although looking at a bit more fight from the away side, but it's not quite occurring at the moment. Dortmund and Leipzig, it is post-Champions League, pre-international break, which might be the reason for a slight malaise here midway through the second half. Identical stats pretty much all the way through. This is archetypal derby style match, isn't it? Very tough to call. Had you gone neutrally here, rather than looking to take on that 2-0 lead for Augsburg, both teams would have worked, wouldn't they? But that looks to be over. Dundee United, well, I'm not seeing anything from them. Their expected goals is not matching Livingston's, and Dundee United pre-match odds on favourites. But are Livingston automatically gettable? 4 defeats and 5 matches. Dundee's recent wins, one of them at home. Very poor against Kilmarnock latest. So watching brief really, but an odds on favourite at home, a goal down. The draw could be layable second half here. I think these two sides are going to be looking for that draw to end. I've gone neutrally here. And again, I'd be personally looking at Ilves to get an equaliser second half. I'm just going to get a glass of water. If the computer goes off, because I'm moving it now, my apologies, just getting a glass. Okay. Well, because the computer went off, I didn't check my odds on favourites. So got to do that now. Parma and Lecce finishes 0-1. I lose a controlled £7 there, looking to double my profit. It's a great idea of Paul Dunwoody's, that one. And it came in with Napoli on my first try, so I was delighted with it. Our odds on favourites. Let's have a look. Any struggler? Well, Watford doing exactly what we expected. So that's an archetypal match you should look at. When they look like they're delivering, but they're a goal down. Odds on at home as well. The pressure is on. The odds ons in League One are all delivering. But Cardiff is a 1-1. So we will be eyeing that one. And we've got 2 0-0s. That's unexpected for an odds on favourite match. So we'll bring in Lincoln and Port Vale into our watch list. It would be nice if they had a search facility here, wouldn't it? Lincoln and Port Vale. So let me go down to English League One. Lincoln and Port Vale. Want to see whether those draws are layable. Really, I would be looking at laying the draw in an odds on favourite at home match if it's 0-0 at half time. Just the pressure is there, but no shots on target for either of these two sides, Lincoln and Exeter. And Port Vale is here with Northampton. And again, it's not looking like a bit of a goal fest, is it? But these sides do like to win. Both of these two have had 3 wins in the last 4 matches. So that could be a catalyst for that draw ending second half. Does look a good candidate, doesn't it? But that is not compelling at all. And that is just woeful. If it's accurate, by the way, if it is accurate, it's only got the 2 corners as well. So it looks to me like a match where these two are quite simply cancelling each other out. So not a good 0-0 candidate, but it is a good candidate for the neutral. Let me show you. Let me get back. So we're going to go to Palmer. No, it's not Palmer, is it? Port Vale. Good for the neutral, this one. I'll show you my idea for these 0-0s where you're expecting a goal because of the form they've been in. But today, they haven't showed up. This is quite a high liability, though. It's relatively high odds for this 0-0 at half-time. It's not a good... It's probably a good sign for us that it might be 0-0 for a wee bit longer. So I've covered that. It's quite a high liability, though. I prefer other matches where it's a little bit lower. And then I'm going to sit on this and see for how long we can last at 0-0. And then I will be looking at a full liability lay at as low odds as I can get for this draw. And the only way you will lose then is if the match ends a score draw. Sorry, I sound like Bonnie Tyler today. It's a little frog in the back of the throat. So that's an option for a match. You're expecting goals, but they're not turned up. Can we do the same with Lincoln and Exeter? Well, no shots on target for either of these two either. So can we get a bit more out of this match? If you can write off these liabilities and wait for that opportunity where you can lay the draw at 1.5 or something, you can get a really good play out of it. So again, laying over 0.5 goals. This, as you can see, this one expects goals. I don't know what's wrong with my throat, sorry. Excuse me. Right, that's a little bit clearer, I hope. So again, I've laid over 0.5 goals in the hope that this will remain 0-0 for a wee bit longer, that we can get real good value out of this. So hopefully I've got Port Vale on here as well. Yeah. So we're keeping an eye on our neutrals. Ilves, I think I'll be playing this second half just with my own money. I like Ilves this season. I've liked what I've seen of Ilves this season. So I'm going to give them a small investment. And is it going to be part of my playing Dodgepot League losses? We will see. Laying over 1.5 goals. again, from a neutral perspective, you could just do that. With every 1-0 deficit, lay over 1.5 goals and leave it. See for how long, or have a predetermined target profit of maybe a tenner if it remains 1-0, because it's the underdog scoring, so they're going to try to hold on. Ilves +1, I hope, is going to be reasonable odds. I'll have to take that. Or I might be tempted with this. No, I'll stick with this. And it's a 12-second gap as well. And I have been caught out with this in the past. The goal came while I was waiting for the bet to be matched. How heartbreaking is that? So if you're going to leave this one to go, it's about a 21 neutral profit. I've just liked what I've seen from Ilves this season, regardless of what they're doing today. So I will play that, but I will be prepared to lose again going down to these leagues when we have the better leagues with us. Just carrying on with our neutrals, Cardiff and Leyton Orient. We'll keep an eye on that one because there was obviously Cardiff expecting to win today. So we'll get that up. Cardiff and Leyton Orient. 1.67 expected goals. Leyton Orient, no wonder they've got the equaliser. Cardiff are not performing as a 1.57 favourite should. How about our odds-ons in English League 2? Barnet delivering, Bromley delivering, Cambridge United delivering, and were odds-on pre-match Walsall. I'll keep an eye on that one. We'll just bring that into the watch list for English League 2. Walsall and Bristol Rovers. I don't see anything from Walsall at all. 0.06 XG. Awful. Not conjuring up anything. And you can see throughout the whole first half of Walsall, they have been underneath Bristol Rovers' Brown momentum line. They've not managed to land a possible or a useful blow. They don't look as if they'll equalise, but they're odds on favourite list. I'll keep an eye. Just have a look at some of the other matches, see if they've caught the eye during the half-time break. So work my way down like this. No, I have to use this then. Okay. So anything catching the eye while we're waiting for the goals to come in. Football 24, that's still delivering. Good. You don't need to know about Bayer Leverkusen. Up to you if you want to lay the late draw. As I say, derby style match. And there's that KTP goal. Now, have I picked the right match? Because I did fancy KTP. But again, it's a neutral play. So let's see the damage this goal has done. If you were a bit worried about playing Finnish football, but you wanted a neutral play, let's have a look. I'm going to have to turn that down. Maybe this is the cause of the crashes. That was very loud indeed. That sounds a bit better. Okay, so Turkish Yorkshiremen have scored first. Dundee United have equalised. The odds-on favourite at home. It's just a pattern I've noticed recently. They have tended to perform very well. And there's that Cardiff goal. That would have been one to lay the draw, wouldn't it, second half? But I didn't get there. Where was I headed? KTP and Mariahanna, indeed. So the neutral play. Let's have a look at how that looks. We've lost £7.60. How much have we gained? Well, we don't know. Now, is this Betfair losing a signal? Or is it another goal? I would welcome another goal. Or is it VAR? We'll have to wait and see. Hope you're all okay at YouTube. Done Ilves, but also back to 2-0. Good idea. 2-0 and 2-1, Michael. Basel did it for us midweek. 2-0 and 2-1. Well, I can't back it, alas, myself. Oh, you're talking about Ilves. Hopefully it's got a bit more liquidity to it. That looks like there's been another goal, so we'll have to wait and see. If it has been, you're guaranteed the 100% over 2.5 goal. No, not seeing it just yet. There's the 1-1 there. So we'll just have a look at the Ilves match with you. I think that's a good idea, given it's such a dodgy league. And indeed, it's a championship phase as well. So 2-0 and 2-1. Well, total lack of liquidity. But I would do it on my own account anyway. But looking on the simulation, you can see the 2-0 is non-existent. There's no other way really to cover 2-0 unless you do Asian handicap. But that's problematic because it's lacking liquidity when it's live. So had that been a bit more liquid, 2-0 and 2-1 would have been potential goers. Got to keep an eye on the goals coming in. Oh dear, Cardiff and Leyton Orient all over the shop today. Are we going to have another goal coming in? Suspenders. Is that an Ilves equaliser? I sincerely hope so. Because these sides in these lesser leagues have been flattering to deceive. So fingers crossed. Well, the market normally empties out if it's been a goal. No. Cardiff and Leyton Orient might interest. Just seeing any odds-ons as well. As you can see, Cardiff, all sorts of bother today. And yet again, a good advertisement for neutral playing, isn't it? If we're thinking, perhaps, especially if Leyton Orient scored first today, we would expect Cardiff to go for the goal. So I think Michael Thatcher's idea of over 3.5 goals when you've had an early goal, again, that would have rattled the bar, wouldn't it? We're not looking for 4 goals. We're looking for that 2-1. You'll be out there. You could even be out at the 1-1. So I think we'll be pursuing that, Michael. Trying the over 3.5 goal stretch from a trading perspective. Because if they can ignite like this, it's very exciting. And that was deserved. Leyton Orient are delivering on the expected goals front. Sparta, Ajax and PSV Eindhoven both away from home today post-Champions League. So that could be the only Achilles heel. A late rally from St. Pauli. Now, we can do what we did earlier to get that Tromsø goal. Just check out whether these two, whether the last 15 minutes of their matches see the most goals in that second half, split into 3 sections. St. Pauli, well, we know Werder Bremen are vulnerable because both teams do tend to score. Goals are coming in. 2-0 to Millwall. Not a surprise. But we just want to have a look at that late goals angle. It worked so well with Tromsø, didn't it? And a great advert for neutral plays because they didn't even get the winner. Unbelievable, Jeff. So we're going to go all the way down here. Home for the home side. Away for the away side. Now, you can see the stark contrast between the Tromsø match earlier on and this. It doesn't offer us any interest, does it? So your only other play, if you're going to be playing the both teams to score angle, would be to lay Werder Bremen at 1.09 and 1.06, which I will do now, given St. Pauli are showing some momentum. Hopefully this is a good sign. So we're going to go to St. Pauli now. And we'll be looking. I'll be looking at 1.09. So I'll be Dutching lay, I think. No, not Dutching. Back all. No, not back all. Oh boy. We'll get there in the end. Senior moment, 1.09. That will be £23. Why? That keeps the liability under £2. I'm going to enter that. Trying to capture some late vulnerability from Werder Bremen. 1.06. I can increase my liability now to £32. That's still under £2. So if both of these get taken and we see a late goal from St. Pauli, boom, we're up and running. Other angles, you could start choosing the draw and backing the draw for £1 in intervals. And that will build up a nice amount for a small liability. So you get £6 here, up to 7.4. When it gets up to 8s, up to 9s, that'll be an 8-to-1 return. So that's an option. I'm in at these low odds just because I like that late momentum move, and I know that St. Pauli can, on their day, see both teams score in 3 of the last 4 matches. But 0.64 expected goals, not the finest, but the late momentum has me interested in a low liability play. I'm not playing this derby style matches, you know, and very well matched as well, with a slight slant towards Leipzig coming to the end of this one. We've already got the Dundee equaliser, but it wasn't seeing anything. We're missing the momentum graph as well for that one. That's Consvinger. Okay. Derby and Saints, 58 minutes. That draw, I would have expected, given the fact that these two are picking up too many draws, that draw will be vulnerable at some point. But again, I'm a bit too late. Or did I do it earlier on in the neutral section? Cover the insurance. Let's take a look. So suspended again. So the Southampton match. So the draw is 2.06 currently. Did I cover it? No, I didn't. So if you did, if you go into the half-time market at 1-1, lay over 2.5 goals there, it should start drifting up. So you'd be laying it about there, or pretty decent odds. And then this is what we want when we've laid it. We want a concerted period of nothing happening, because for every moment it remains without that goal coming in the second half, you're getting better and better odds, because you'll be laying. You want to be laying all the way down here, or down here, of course. Now, so if this continues to drop below 2, that could be a possible entry point for me had I have done this one as my lay and then sit on it. I call it the sit on it. It's a second half play. If it's a match where you're not expecting too much to occur, or expecting it to be a bit tight, we will see. Or if you don't trust the teams, put it that way. That Desmond has ended, and it's gone Leyton Orient's way, and it's all there in the XG, isn't it? They are performing today, 2.43. So they are consistently conjuring up the best chances, and they are converting them. Cardiff have overextended themselves, really, with their expected goals of 0.91 and scoring 2. But the best chances are Leyton Orient, so that's I wouldn't be laying there Leyton Orient just yet. But again, great advert for neutral playing, isn't it? You don't have the odds-on favourite. You're not waiting for the odds-on favourite to deliver. Now we've got the upsets. Ajax, post-Champions League, pre-international break. We'll keep an eye on that 1-1. I'll bring that up. Port Vale remains 0-0, 63rd minute. Let's see how my little technique of sitting on it is playing out in this match. Choose your matches carefully for this one. You want matches where the teams look good on paper, but on this particular day, they're not delivering. So what I'm seeing now, I'm seeing a profit eventualize here. But more importantly, each moment that goes along, I'm getting even better value, because I will be laying to a full liability. So I can now make, if this match just ends without it being a score draw and with a team scoring, £36.99 minus £16.40. How much longer am I willing to wait? Well, the in-play stats could indicate that he can take another 5 minutes out of the market. 0.14 expected goals against 0.3. They're not doing the 1.27s, are they? They're not doing the 1.43s, are they? So I'm going to try to get a bit longer out of the market. I know my maximum loss is only about 8 or 9 quid. But you can see the gains now if you just got involved now. But it's a fine balance, because if you get involved now and you get a 1-0, particularly to Northampton, that will bring the draw into the equation. KTP, yeah, that was a good play. Bit of late action if you fancied it. Dortmund and Leipzig, I don't have a strong opinion. Derby style matches, I think I've advertised well how risky derby style matches is. Atletico Madrid's spanking of Real Madrid. Liverpool's loss, was it against Chelsea? So you can see this one as well. Anything can happen in these derby style matches. Anything happening with our favourites? Let's just have a quick walk through the odds on favourite list. And in the AII, I've done some of these odds on favourites in case you wanted to have a look at them. We've got another goal coming in, not of interest. So we'll have a quick walk through. There, laying out. Did I lay over 1.5 goals here? Maybe as a neutral play. Let's just see if I did, because that would have been a throwaway bit of fun, wouldn't it? I wonder if you do these consistently and just leave them. No, I didn't. So this is not going the way Hashtag Split have planned, is it? Or did I lay over 0.5 goals at half time? No, I didn't. What a pity. Got the goals coming in now. Odds on. QPR have equalised against odds on Bristol City, and Grazia and Wolfsberger, well, the odds on favourite has scored there. We've still got our 0-0s in English League One, and we've both covered these 0-0s currently. We're just sitting on it. How long am I willing to wait before I lay the draw? Am I willing to take the hit in the hope of getting a really juicy low odds lay of these draws at Lincoln and Exeter? We'll keep an eye on that. Metz and Marseille is kicking off. It would surprise me hugely if Marseille were to lose this one today. They are in exceptional form at the moment in all competitions, starting with that beating of Paris Saint-Germain. That's where it all began, at home, that 1-0 win against Paris Saint-Germain. They have been a brilliant side, and I expect them to deliver against Metz today. As Ron Manager says, with aplomb. So we'll be looking at them delivering. As long as they're not impacted by the Champions League and the international break. Of course, they are chock full of stars, Marseille, second in the league last year. Any of our other odds on favourites? Well, Aris Thessaloniki. It's not Thessaloniki, but Aris. Yes, it is Aris Thessaloniki odds on. So I'll just keep an eye on that one. It's a simple technique. You just want to see any indication that the odds on favourite is performing like an odds on favourite. So we're off down to the Greek Super League. And there's Aris Thessaloniki here. So it's very quiet at the moment. 0.07 expected goals for them. None of these matches of great interest at the moment. How are our old pals Ilves doing? Because we keep getting a suspended market. And it still remains 1-0. Okay, so that is covered. And I think it was a good idea to have covered that 2-0 and 2-1. Yes, had I seen the liquidity there, I would have had a go, I think. Basel, wow, that worked out incredibly well in the Champions League. So just have a quick look outside of the watch list, particularly for 0-0s in the Championship League 1 and League 2. And there's a Hashtag Split goal. I was thinking, when are we going to be backing Hashtag Split? Had the match up and just could have done it neutrally, couldn't we? Again, with a neutral head on, lay the draw, because if the 11 players score first, draws are going to rise hugely. We can get rid of that now, I think. I'm not going to be looking for a late winner. Dortmund and Leipzig derby style match. Dundee United and Livingston, still plenty of the match to go, and the second half has belonged to Dundee. You can just tell by the increase in the shots on target. 3 shots on target second half, and 1 shot off target second half. So yeah, that came second half. So a real change in momentum for the odds-on favourite at home. Plymouth Argyle and Wigan. Now, I'm going to, flirting with these nil-nils, I'm going to be looking now that we've got goals coming in, we're looking at the Lincoln and Port Vale starting to see if we lay those draws now. So Port Vale, Northampton. Just by waiting a little bit longer, I've got odds on now. So I can go full liability here. Full liability. And you'll see the reward if we get just a single goal from one of these teams without it ending a score draw. 46 quid minus £16.40. Now, if you were just looking at a neutral perspective, you could target these markets. Boom. Like we're laying over 1.5 goals whenever there's been a 1-0, for example. None of these are of interest. Well, Cardiff make it 3-3. I've let Cardiff go, to be honest. But maybe if it's 3-4 to Leyton Orient again, then I'll have another go. But Leyton Orient have deserved the lead on all those occasions because of their expected goals. Just have a quick walk through these. Got another suspended market. We've got a 1.38 home favourite. I like that in the Allsvenskan. So we'll keep an eye on them. Spanish Secunda, Almeria. Well, Deportivo La Coruña are normally odds-on favourites, so that should be on my watch list. La Liga, Girona and Valencia. Well, Valencia have flattered to deceive a bit. They have had 2 goals in them in a few matches, but it's not. They're not 2 very, very reliable sides, are they? Oh, the goals are flowing. Oh boy, I've missed all the fun at Cardiff. 4-3 already. Copa del Rey is not going to be featuring any well-known sides. Just working my way down, just seeing if there's anything that we could just put on the watch list. Bryn and Sandefjord, we'll have a look. As you can see, no draw for Sandefjord in the last 5 matches. Lillestrøm doing exactly what a 1.17 should do. And that 2.5 goals worked very well, didn't it, on the neutral for that. Ranheim, Ergerson have already got that red card sorted out. They've punished their opponent there. Eredivisie could be of interest. Lay the draw second half, but it is post-Champions League for Ajax. Are they performing today? Anything else catch the eye? Serie B, Avellino and Mantova. 1.14. The expected goals is there, but I think that match is dead, isn't it? That's gone quite a while ago. So that doesn't interest us. Asteros Tripolis and Panathinaikos, nope. 2 sides struggling to win. French League, definite interest here. If Marseille can keep 10 men on the pitch, then we should get a very decent away win today, if they're not affected by the Champions League. 2-0 to the Arsenal. This is should be a battle of the defences, really, but Nuno hasn't had enough time to really stamp his authority on that West Ham defence. It was a thankless task. 1.17 pre-match, the Arsenal. That's exactly what you expect of them. Barrow and the Shrews. I think one of these was an odds-on favourite pre-match, wasn't it? So any of these nil-nils, if they're showing any good XGs, then they might be put on a shortlist. These that 3-3. You've just seen what happened with Cardiff. Any other nil-nils? They all seem to be delivering in these lower tiers. And the Championship, I think we've seen goals in most. 3-0 to Millwall. We don't need to be covering that anymore. So I'll just have a walk through the watch list while I'm waiting for the likes of Ilves to do something. 7 shots on, 9 off, 83 attacks to 16. Again, neutral players wouldn't be fearing an SJK second goal, would they? Bromley and Tranmere of interest. Dundee United have owned the second half. Can they get the win? Let's have a look. Well, we don't have the momentum, which I do miss here. Just to see if we get that slide upwards. 0.86 to 1.11. Expecting to see that 1-1 draw presently. Derby and Saints, again, they're not pressurising, are they? You'd have thought this would be ripe for the win for both, particularly as they're both creating decent chances. But it's very equal. 11 shots to 11. Well, sorry, 9 shots to 11. Very equal. 42 attacks each. And again, that is a positive for taking on the draw. Did I lay? Oh, no, we've already looked at that. This is one where I would have been a good candidate to lay over 1.5 goals. Sorry, over 2.5 goals at half time and sit on it, wouldn't it? Particularly to not conjuring up too much with that flat momentum. Lincoln City and Exeter remains 0-0. Do check your expected goals for these 0-0s. Do you like what you're seeing there? But we're just seeing Exeter, Lincoln City come in bursts, aren't we? You can see those squares. They domination bursts. That could suggest, is it counter-attacking at home? I don't know. Quick burst and then they flounder. Quick burst and then they flounder. Quick burst and then they flounder. They're not scoring while they're on top. But 0.94, they're creating enough decent chances to suggest something. 15 minutes to go, running out of time. Would be an excellent one. Yes, I did it already, didn't I? Laying over 0.5 goals. Lincoln and Exeter. I haven't laid the draw yet here. Yep. So that's going well. What are the draw odds looking like now? Odds on. So why don't I have a go? So if you're happy to lose that liability at the offset, this is the technique for you in tight matches with a 0-0 at half-time, where they look as if they're struggling on this particular day to deliver. Or you could just do that and green up. So I think we might have discovered something, that technique. And the great thing about this neutral is I'm doing it in the real markets. So we can see in real time whether there's an Achilles heel. I can't see an Achilles heel there unless you're willing to take the hit on the initial liability, which will only be between £7 to about 11 or 12. It's dependent on the match, of course. If the match has got very exceptional expected goals, then it might be different. We've got a red card, Bromley and Tranmere now. Will Tranmere take advantage? Not really getting any goals in any of my matches of interest yet. But they're warming up nicely for the last 15 minutes for an assault. See another 3 shots on target for Dundee United. They are knocking on the door. How can I play this? Well, again, let's experiment with neutral. If you fancy a team and they're dominating the stats and it's 1-1, you can have a go like this. You could lay over 2.5 goals to cover the current scoreline. You'd better hope that Dundee are far bigger than evens in the match odds market. Are they? 3.25. So if you're convinced that one side are doing the dominating, and again, you don't have to do 40 quid. I would probably be looking a lot lower stakes here. But if you can get that Dundee United winner, I did it with Kaiserslautern earlier on, you will make the difference between 40 and 90. But you can see the problem. If Livingston win, and okay, it's a big drop down for a big potential reward. So you have to be very, very choosy in your matches. I like look at that, 10 shots on target now. The momentum would give me a lot more confidence. Girona and Valencia. Well, Valencia have 2 goals in them, but that would have been one for the in-play stats. And Leicester City against the Swans, again, in-play stats. Dundee United and Livy. I've just shown you that technique. It's a long way down, but it's a good profit if it comes off. So you just want to make sure that Livingston are kept quiet. And again, if a red card comes to Dundee United, you're going to have to suck it up, I'm afraid, and just hope it ends 1-1. Derby and Southampton. Could be one for a late lay the draw. They're not performing, are they? Odds on favourite scoring firsts, so I will get rid of that. Lincoln and Exeter. 0.94 expected goals for Lincoln is a good reason to lay the draw with insurance, as I've done, because you're only reliant on the one side, because Exeter's 0.13 is appalling, and you can see there's no consistent spike in momentum for Lincoln. They're not consistently battering at the door. So that is a good candidate, isn't it? And as you can see, 0-0. None of those are of interest. KTP Mariahamna, that was for the equaliser, wasn't it? Now we've got that red card. That draw could be of interest. Bromley and Tranmere. 13 minutes to go. Can we get a Tranmere 4th goal? It's set up nicely. It's one for me to sit on a little bit and wait and see whether I can get lower odds given the league that we're in. Ilves are doing everything apart from score. This is the problem of flirting with these lower tiers, isn't it? Doing everything. That's when they should have been doing their scoring. But it's just motoring along at the moment. But that's why you got that 1-0 covered. That's what we like to see. But did I lay too early? Did I get involved too early? Yes, I think I did. Because it's flat as a pancake, isn't it? And we're still getting nothing from Port Vale, 0.14. And we're getting under 1 for the away side as well. Ilves again lighting up the momentum, but we need it converted into a goal, please, if you could be so kind. Walsall and Bristol Rovers. I don't know why I'm looking at that one. Maybe it was to take on the Bristol Rovers lead with near enough odds on at home. Walsall, I can get rid of that. Deportivo La Coruña, normally odds on. Indeed, they are today. 60th minute, 0.87 expected goals. And you can see they're on the 3-win and a draw sequence. And at home, Deportivo La Coruña, 1-0 win and a 4-0 against Huesca. 2 consecutive wins for Almeria. The second one against Las Palmas, keeping a clean sheet. There we go. There's Michael's over 3.5 goals in the bag. Came a bit late, but of course, as a trader, you're not looking for those 4 goals. You're looking for an early second or third goal to get the odds moving. We're just waiting on Ilves then. Waiting on the draws, Lincoln and Port Vale. The later the goal, of course, the more guaranteed you are of bringing it all home. The earlier the goal, you're flirting with a score draw then, which will be a losing position. So remember that. Girona Valencia, 2.3 the favourite, not a strong match for me. Deportivo, well, I was looking for that equaliser, wasn't I? But it's just arrived. 0.90. Wish I'd pulled the trigger on that one. Marseille have already scored, have they? No, it's 0-0. Okay. Marseille should get the win, so hopefully we'll get some nice big odds later on. And if they dominate, I will do what I did with Dundee. Lay over 0.5 goals and back Marseille in the match odds. Hopefully, it'll be one-way traffic. Flirting with disaster, of course, post-Champions League. There's that Deportivo La Coruña equaliser. Side worth following. Consistently chosen at odds on in this La Liga 2. GAIS are going to get a look in, of course. 1.4 odds on favourites at home. I'll tidy up a few of these and it will give me an excuse to look through each match. The Turkish Yorkshiremen, you can check if you wanted for any late goals. We might see them with Ayopspor, who were in the Turkish One League last season, managed, of course, by Nora Batty and Compo and Clegg, the assistant managers for the Turkish Yorkshiremen. So let's have a look at them. Ayopspor, arguably the profile of a newly promoted side, aren't they? But what we're interested in is that late goal. Vulnerable enough, you'd suggest, for them to be sloppy enough for a late goal. But they have had a 0-0 recently, and they look like they're defensively sound as well, don't they? Big boys, Besiktas, Galatasaray, to defeats. But we haven't seen a 0-0 in any Kocaelispor match. But are we going to get any late action? Home for the home side, away for the away side. Well, 3 goals. It's a kind of a match. You're not expecting goals, are you, really? So, a bit lukewarm on that one. So these are all the matches currently. Nothing much doing in the Premier League for me today. All lower tier stuff. Let's have a look at the Premier League. Suspended market. So let's get the Premier League up. Yes, no real trading angles at all. And we've got Chelsea-Liverpool coming up, and obviously Chelsea-Liverpool are on a 2-match losing run. That is a story for you to either trust that they won't make that 3 consecutive defeats, or it's a derby-style match like Dortmund and Leipzig earlier on, and you will have the discipline to perhaps not play. Ilves have got that 1-1 at last. At last. So let me just check that one out. Check it out from a neutral perspective as well. So I think I'll bring this up for future live streams. Maybe to show, for those of you who wanted to follow neutral plays like both teams to score, like 2.5 goals, like correct score, and to try these more speculative attempts at just nailing a nice profit late on if they can conjure up a win, like Kaiserslautern did earlier on. But we need, this is where the in-play stats comes in. It's the only reason you'd use this technique. You want to see, look at that, 1.85 expected goals. And we keep coming back to Dundee United, and they keep adding to their shots on target, don't they? This is the kind of slant I want. But we're always flirting with a 1-2 Livingston, which will kill off 80 quid. So if you're willing to take the hit for a possible late 60 quid profit, by all means do. Grazia against the Wolf. No, Wolfsberger were the odds-on favourite there, so that's not a surprise. So Derby Saints again. This would be possibly 1.09, 1.06 lay here for this one. I would have expected these two to be aiming for the 3 points. But you can see it's flat as a pancake, isn't it? But the expected goals, total of about 2.5. So they are delivering on that count. Can they deliver that third goal? 1.09, 1.06 will give you an interest without it costing you too much, given the fact they're a little flat. Lincoln and Exeter still. Now let's try an experiment to show you the power of the sit on it technique when you get that concerted period of 0-0. Let me show you what you would be making now if you're laying for a full £40 liability, having waited £108. That is effectively a free bet. The only way it'll go wrong with 2 minutes to go is if both teams score. So have a think about that. Are you willing to take that hit if the goal comes early. For a match like this, where you can make yourself 3 figures if you get a single goal, for an effective free bet. So let's see how low Port Vale's odds are as well. Now this is even more interesting. If I'd have had the kahunas to have waited, I'll be sitting on £190 if we get a goal. And the fact that it's 1.2 means there's plenty enough action left in the match, or there's a slight lack of liquidity. But you can see the potential here. Wouldn't you love that? Potential to win 190 quid for the risk of 16. That's a relatively high risk because the market was expecting more goals. And you can even make even more money. You could cash out of this and then get involved. Or you could just lock this in while already having played there and make yourself just a small loss but a guaranteed profit on this. So it's got a lot of scope, but you have to choose the correct matches, and they're the ones where I think the momentum graph will be of great importance. Momentum graph and expected goals have to be poor, have to be under ones, and this has to be flat as a pancake, i.e. looks like these two are just cancelling each other out. You can see the potential for 3-figure returns late on for a risk-free bet. Superb, eh? I wonder how we'll cope if we get a whole raft of early goals. That's the problem. It builds up that liability loss. Metz and Marseille post-Champions League headache because it's 0-0 at half-time. You'd expect a lot more goals from Marseille. I've just got to check my Ilves position, and we'll also check the Ilves in these neutral plays that we did. Did we do neutral here? No. Okay. I've got to check my own account for the Ilves position. So what's happened here? Has a goal been disallowed? I hope. I hope it's not 1-2. Oh, you're joking. Ah, this is the problem doing this live stream. And again, a great advert for you neutral players. 2-1. I should have got out at the 1-1 there. And I hope Michael did. Yeah, I hope you got out. Okay. That should have been a profit for me there. I'm disappointed with that. I called it, you know. A 3-1 to Ajax. A 3-1 to Sparta. So I think this is a bit out of kilter, is it? So you can see Dundee United and Livingston. More shots on target. If we can get that late Dundee United winner, we will pretty much lock in that gain. That's a good sign. If you laid that draw late on, Lincoln City is starting to push for that single goal. Nothing really from Tranmere, surprisingly enough, once that red card has arrived. Oh, just that infuriates me because it's a profitable trade. I called it. Oh. We're just waiting on Port Vale and Northampton, completely neutral. Ajax and Sparta Rotterdam post-Champions League, pre-international break, so I'm not too keen. Well, on trusting Ajax unless they show something. Marseille, I think, will start delivering in the second half as long as they don't have that Champions League malaise with them today. So coming to an end, let's have a look at any of our odds-ons that are outstanding. And those 2 0-0s still remain, don't they? Yeah, they still remain. No, we've got an Exeter goal. We've got an Exeter goal. This is... Now think, what if I just laid to win that 190 quid? Think about that. So it's the perfect play, isn't it, really? A very, very late goal locks things in, and bang, you're getting pretty much the full ticket. And that for a £10 liability. Now imagine if that was 190. Be very exciting, wouldn't it? So it's all about how long you can stay away. I got as far as 1.79. That's as far as I got. So the longer you wait, the bigger the payoff. Now all you have to do is now wait for Port Vale to do the same, and you'll be picking up a risk-free profit, because this ain't going to be a score draw, is it, if we get a goal? And you can cash out as well to make sure it won't end up a score draw. So that's something we're going to be investigating a bit more, this. And neutrally as well, laying over 1.5 goals when a goal has been scored, seeing if we can get some resistance, particularly from the underdog, if they score first. So coming to an end now. We'll just wait and see whether Dundee United can cross the line. Derby Saints ends 1-1. Will Dundee United cross the line? We're waiting with interest. Otherwise, it will just be a neutral play, as long as I don't get... As long as we don't get Livingston scoring the late winner. Port Vale ends 0-0. So you had a free punt at a single goal being scored. So picking the right matches, I think. Matches where the teams have been in good form, but just today, it's all gone a little bit too flat for them, and they haven't delivered at all. So 2 goals is expected from Dundee United. If Livingston scored the late winner, it's bye-bye. But it's a big profit if we get that reward. Look at that. Excellent stuff. And again, neutral. Who are you expecting to score here? If you're saying Lincoln City, you're spot on. So we're going to be investigating these neutrals a lot more. It's a lot less taxing, isn't it? When you've got teams going for you, and again, going over 2.5 goals here, the expectation of Ilves scoring, I'd have been covered with that. But this is just because I've been doing the live chat, I didn't get out at the 1-1. 1-1 was my exit point there, so I'm very disappointed there, because that was real money. That would have been a nice profit as well. Port Vale ends. Nothing else of interest really, with the Premier League being so quiet. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Say a good night to you. Thanks very much for coming along. And I hope you're seeing everything okay, because I've got an old part of the video. I'll say good night to you now. I'll see you on Telegram a bit later on. There's some matches of interest coming up. The Liverpool match is a fascinating one as well. Probably not a tradable match. Do let me know your thoughts on neutral trading. Do you like it? Have a great day, and I'll see you all again on Telegram.